Morning, guys. It's day 4, Monday, and it is right about 10:30. I just got here at the shop. Let me tell you about the morning that I had. Today, like most other days in the week, during the week, I got up around 5:15, went into my office, started doing some emails, just double checked that. Then went over onto my school community. I've been uploading a chapter every day on the book course. So that thing is getting growing. I did chapter 13 today, which talked about the super glues and the activators, things like that. Then about 7 o'clock, kids got up. I went to go make them breakfast and the power flickered as I was grabbing the eggs from the top shelf. Someone hit a power pole, so we kind of changed of plans. Wife and I got the kids ready, went down to a little breakfast house, got that, got them fed, off to school. That was probably around 9 a.m. Then I went to the bank. Then I went to Mohawk, which is my wood repair product store. Then showed up. Now I'm here. I've been here since about 10:15 or so. Got ready for this, and let me show you what we're going to do today. So it looks like that Ivan came in for a few hours over the weekend. Got a few projects up and going. First was this Eames chair. Looks like we got the rough sanding on it. We're going to steam out some scratches today. We have another steel case unit for George Nelson. This is a desk that I think I showed you last week. This got rough sanded. We got to do some repairs, get this ready. We have one more drawer from the blue unit from last week. That's going to get finished up, get down in for some sealer. Maybe today, after about 3 days, I think we're going to glue up the second Eichler cabinet, get these ready to get stripped. Maybe tomorrow and Wednesday, get them back down to the raw wood. And then hopefully, we'll see how time permits, that rosewood table we picked up, I promise the customer will have it in 7 or 10 days. We may be able to get that out over there to the stripping section, get the layer off, so maybe tomorrow we can start sanding this guy. So we'll see what we get we'll see what we get done today. All right, I'm gonna let that first Eichler cabinet dry a little bit. We ran some more glue in some of the existing shelves that we didn't do last week, but I wanted to work on this. This is from Morgan from Back Alley Finds. She came in the shop a few weeks ago with that tabletop she restored. She brought me this. It's a dresser, has all the handles are fine except for this one. She asked me to just see if I could do anything with it. Usually these are damn near impossible to repair. We have to either fix just a small section usually, or a little piece of the edge like here is broken. On this one, I'd say a third, maybe more than that is missing. So what I'm trying to do, what I did first, I came back here with a Forester bit. We put back, got drilled through, put a little water in, softened up the glue. Already now, if you kind of come in a little bit closer, you can see we got most of it loose. There's just a little section here that's dry. So what we're going to do is sometimes you have to make things a little worse before we make it better. In a day or two, you're never going to know that this was here. It's going to all be repaired. What we're going to do on the back side is we'll put 2 walnut plugs back in, sand it all, and repair it. So you'll never see that we drilled the back. But I needed to access the back of this handle to either heat it up or wet it. Seems like wetting it with a little bit of just some clean water softened up that glue enough that I could break it loose. And listen, we'll see what this comes out. I'm going to play with it for a few more minutes. I'm going to let that water sit. Kind of just wiggle it side to side. There you go. So I just heard it pop a little bit more, but there's still one little spot that looks like it's going to fight me, and I don't want to snap this piece in half. We're just going to take our time, let the water do its thing. Good. Now what we can do, let's see. Put this flexible putty knife in here. Oh, we're literally, if I keep a little bit of tension there, I might be able to do it like those Eames shock mounts. We might be able to just get this to pop up. Not quite. I can hear it though. It's wanting to. Yep, there. I think I might have just got it. Let's see. There it goes right there. There it is. So we loosened up all that glue from the back side. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to fill a piece of wood across the top and glue it in somehow, and then we'll fill the rest of this little spot with epoxy. We shall see. We'll see if we can make this work for her. Okay, originally I had told Morgan that we couldn't fix this because usually we don't. She would, I'm trying to just do her a favor, do her a solid, and I've been playing with it and it looks like we're going to be able to fix it. I've now cut a new little piece that we're going to replace on the top section, traced out of paper the original style, and then when I'm done, what you're going to see now is we're going to cut the piece here so I could glue and attach it to this. We'll cut the shape on the outside after we glue it. Then we could go back and fill with epoxy all of the other little sections that are missing here. The epoxy will hold up pretty well for that. It's just not going to hold up very well for the long pieces of wood where the finger pulls are. Hence the reason we needed to get a piece of wood back in here, and we can't do that when it was inside of this groove. So we're going to get on one of the little sanding tools, get this radius, this curve, sand it out of it, and then we'll get it glued attached back to this guy. So we have this little oscillating belt sander, put a round blade on it, round thing. What I'm going to do is just slowly try to follow the shape of this paper. Try to get that curvature. Wasn't expecting to do this morning, but now I kind of got hooked. See how quick you can get, sidetracked. We'll kind of hand sand it to after, but we just need to get that initial shape of it starting to come out. So we still have the paper here. We still haven't even touched the paper yet, so we're trying to follow that little template. We may not make this exactly perfect to the original, but when you have a set of 8 or 10 of them, like on a on a cabinet, it won't matter. You won't notice this one little variation. Perfect. So now we've taken off that curvature. Now we have a little bit of that finger pull section there. It's hard to tell on this side with the paper, but you can see it's got some curve now. I'm going to probably fine tune it with a small block to take off a little bit of this inside circle. And a lot of you may have seen my little steaming trick on the short reels on Instagram, but what I'm going to show you is a little more long form on this large scratch. Kind of, if you look closer, it did not penetrate through the veneer. So the veneer is not broken in this section. That's usually when the steaming trick works best. You see a few more little scuff marks, same thing too. But what I like to do, we have just a plain white rag, kind of wet the whole area actually, so that way it kind of pre-soaks it in reality. Iron is already set, ready to go. I'm going to lay out the rag, and then you have to remember where the scratch was, and just kind of follow it around. You don't want it to sit in one location for too long, but that steam is going to raise that scratch mark up. I always like to run it real quick too to dry it off. But now I feel a little bit right there, but all these outside sections are all perfectly flush. So when we put the sandpaper on it again, this will come out real easily. Let that cool off for a second, and then put this on one more time. And I'm going to just try to do this, 5 or 6 inches again. It's possible I may have missed this area as well. Maybe I was a little too far towards the bottom. And this trick may not work every time, but I said no, I can't even feel it there. So once we take the sandpaper with the machine, we'll get that out, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit later today. All right, I'm going to let this one cool off and dry. I have another piece already set up that we did about an hour ago. Water's already dried. This, the dents and scratch marks raised up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my sander, and you can see right here where the scratch mark was, right in the curve. This is always the worst part to do it in as well, because the veneer thins out as they bend it right in these sections. So we'll have to work on this a little bit more carefully. And you could tell the original rosewood here is a lot darker, it gets sun bleached. So what we're going to do is sand through that sun bleach, get it back to that original like rosewood color. So yeah, let's get this going, and I'll show you that right now. It's good if I plugged it back in. Okay, now that I turned the power back on, we're ready to go. All right, so now you can see the original rosewood and then that faded sun bleached, from sitting in a window. So let me put a little bit of this little magic liquid, and you're going to see the two color variations pop out. So you can see this has got a lot more yellow, faded look, and here you can see that original rosewood, that rich, deep color. It's all going to look like that, when we're done. We'll get it in the booth probably tomorrow, get some sealer on it. I'll show you some there. We'll get back to the other three pieces, and I'm going to start stripping a table here in just a little bit. I'll show you guys that later as well. Since I'm a neat freak, and I don't want to really mess up anything inside of here, I like to always wrap a little bit of paper, at least on the skirt or the rails. Make sure that none of the stripper falls inside of there. It's all going to get a little bit of sealer and clear coat as well, but I just don't like to make a bigger mess than I need to. And for 30 extra seconds, it's worth it to give a customer, top-notch finish. What we'll do now, just get the top stripped. I want to show you how well this stripper works here. So what I like to use is, let me see what side it is on. It's the Benko B4. This is the gel stripper. It's not the liquid we use as well. That's the B7. We'll use that for dining chairs, things like that. But with this situation, it's a flat tabletop. Put a little bit on. We'll work our way around it. After lunch, I put my headphones on, was working for a little bit, and I turned on the new podcast that I was on back with Zach from the Bearded Finisher. Just was listening to the first 10 or 15 minutes of it, and it was, it's been 2 or 3 months since we were on the podcast with him, and it was really a good conversation him and I had, and got into the, when I got started, how I got into this business. So really, long journey. I said I've been doing this now almost 21 years. So I said, watch how, see how quick this Benko works on this. This still has the methylene chloride. If you are not a business, you still can't buy this. You can buy it, from Benko if you have a business license. That's all they require. They also have a few other options that are non-methylene chloride, and I haven't tried them yet. They're supposed to send some out to me this beginning of this year, and I want to test them out for you and see which ones work best, so that way I have something to refer to all of you. The people that are doing it at home or in their garage, things like that. So you can see kind of how murky this is already getting. And I've only been on here for, about a minute or so. What we'll do is we're going to let that sit. And see a little chunk came off of the brush from the old stripper. I'll let this sit for a second. I'm going to sit it on this table. Putty knife. And then the bucket. And what I like to do, per the code from the fire department, scrape it into this bucket. Keep this bucket or cardboard away from all heat sources, and then let it dry out. Once it evaporates, you can just throw it away. So I see a lot of you just scraping it and put it on the ground. I go, it makes a mess for everybody. We all have Amazon boxes. Why not just use them? And then it kind of gives it a second life. Then it gets thrown away, goes to the dump. now I got the majority of it off. I'm gonna grab some steel wool real quick and show you. I'm gonna clean it off next. So it looks like I'm only gonna need to do this one pass. Just had a light bit of finish on it, nothing, no polyurethanes, anything crazy. And you can't tell from the videos, but this stuff has a very like floral scent to it. And as soon as we start sanding it, it gets even more pungent. You know, and right now it's probably only about 70 degrees, maybe 65, 69 degrees, something like that. And you see how quick it worked. In the summertime, it actually works a little bit better, a little quicker, but I mean, this worked plenty fine for the piece that we're working on. I'm gonna hit the other side and the leaves and then the legs as well. And then I'll get back to you on, we'll probably finish gluing up that Eichler piece. So. All right, now that we got the tabletop and the leaves all stripped, I got to get them washed off, make sure all the residue from the stripper is removed. A little quick wipe down with this stuff. Little number 2 steel wool. And so make sure this will clean it off, make sure there's no stripper residue. If you were to read the containers, they say, they're water soluble. So you scrub them and wash them with water at the end. So we'll take this. Scrub that, and so we want to try to take off as much of this water as possible so that way it's not sitting there. I get another fresh rag too to just make sure it's nice and clean. This is where I keep all my old like t-shirts and things like that from the house. Also for when I lost a bunch of weight post heart attack, I brought all my fat clothes here. Now they're used as stripping rags. They're good for something to recycle with. Make sure the bottom's all dried out too. Make sure there's no water sitting there. We'll let this sit in front of the fan for about 5 or 10 minutes. You can already see now it's already starting to dry pretty quick. So we'll do the rest of this table and we'll get back on gluing up that Eichler cabinet before I leave today. In between everything else that we've been working on today, I've been going back and forth to the little wooden handle on this dresser, and you can see it's starting to take shape. It's still nowhere near ready yet, but it now fits back in. Goes back in. I got a little bit of shaping to do. We'll put it in. Probably have to do a little bit of fill work on the top, but you can see now it's starting to look similar to the original. I got a little bit of epoxy drying right now. I'm going to sand that and probably get out of here for the day. You can see how many things go into a single day here at the shop just to keep it, operating. I'm jumping around job to job, just trying to get a little bit done every day. So at the end of the week, we get a large amount finished up. Last thing I showed you last week, I wanted to show you how we glued up the front of this guy. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna get my Boss Dog glue. I already sanded and prepped these guys here. I'm gonna put a nice layer of glue on here. I'm gonna show you on the other side. I'll show you over there. Put a good layer of this on. So we're trying to get some structure with this cabinet again so it has some strength when it gets put back in this house. But this is also where I noticed too, like the bottom is still kind of cracked out. If you come around this side here, you can see on the inside that the frame has got about 1/8 of an inch gap here at the front, but on the back side it's perfectly flush. So what I'm going to try to do is force in a little bit of the glue so we can clamp it in and let that sit and kind of sag into there. I'm going to do the same on this side. Same thing too, kind of run it in with my fingertips like when you're using caulking. We'll do a little bit more and then we'll hop on here and get the clamps going. So now I got Ivan again. We needed a second hand. Make sure I put this back on the right direction. So it still has a little bit of play, like about 1/8 of an inch, and that's why we got to clamp this up to hold properly. like I was saying on the other last week, we're going to put a little glue right up in here, so that way this little cross member will get a little bit of strength as well, along with the rest of the frame. If you want to hop on that side, I'll pass this one over to you. No blocks on this one. So we'll put the first clamp in just to get it to hold. It gives us a little bit of play, so if we need to straighten things out, we can. Use a mallet. So noticing on there. We'll do that. I'll get the mallet real quick. Just square it up, but I can see the gap is a lot larger on this side. Let's use this clamp with the blocks. Let me tighten this. We use these little wood blocks as well, so that way we don't actually imprint into the frame and create more damage. Okay, you got the clamp on your side. Yep. Keep going. There you go. Now it's tightening back up. Perfect. Okay, we'll let that sit for a minute. It's stretching out where it needs to. I hope that came through in the video. All those little creaks and noises. I still notice here, it looks like it needs a little bit more glue. It looks like it fell in. I'm thinking is removing this one. I was thinking of removing this one with the block, bringing it down here because we need that reach. Let's see what noises it makes now. Oh, no noises.
Oh, sorry.
Good. Good.
A little bit that way?
Huh?
Okay. I gotta go that way.
Come on. There it goes. Yeah, I was just stuck. Okay, here we go. I think that's about all it really wants to do. We're gonna add one more little thing, which you couldn't see last week. Was one of these headless screws right here to the front of the face frame, so that way it ties it all in together. So now we have some strength. It's not even glued up fully yet. Nothing's cured. So we're gonna put one more clamp on, probably finish this up, let it dry overnight, and we'll be back tomorrow. All right, I got to get out of here for the day, but I wanted to make sure to come on here and let you know, go listen to that new podcast on the Bearded Finishers podcast. It was a great conversation Zach and I had a couple months ago. I can't wait to get back on there. Let him know that I sent you. It'd be really great to have him know that his podcasts are getting reached out there, getting more viewers. I love to help him out. It was a great conversation. So we'll see you tomorrow. It'll be day 5. I'm going to be making a delivery down to Laguna Beach, one of the craziest houses I've been to in a long time with the best ocean view I've ever seen. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys tomorrow.